everybody. Welcome to episode number 3 of Going Places. Today, I am here with Matthew.
Hello. My name is Matthew Morris. I'm a PhD student at the University of Oregon. I'm currently living in Salt Lake City, and I wanted to share a little bit about my research with you all. To start with, I just want to show you a little bit of a picture of an area where I've done a lot of work, and hopefully this works. Here we go. So this is the Snake River here at the bottom. This is a picture taken in a canyon called Hell's Canyon on the Oregon-Idaho border. And what I want to just point out here is it's, beautiful springtime, very green, but in the background, there's a bunch of these layered rocks here. And those are stacks and stacks of lava flows called the Columbia River basalts. And those flows actually are over a mile thick in places, and they cover a very large area. So if we switch to a map view, those Columbia River basalt flows cover most of Oregon, northern Oregon and southeastern Washington, and they actually flow all the way out to the Columbia River and to the ocean in places. They were erupted between 16.7 and about 6 million years ago. And when we think about volcanoes and lava flows, we usually look at what's on the surface. The lava flows themselves, those are very impressive. But one thing to keep in mind is those lava flows had to come from somewhere. And in the case of just a diagram of a volcano, so here you have a volcano being fed from below where the magma is coming up via this vertical feature, which is called a dike. And dikes are often, as I said, vertical. They can be pretty narrow or fairly wide, but they're the conduit that transports magma to the surface where it erupts out of a volcano. And in the case of the Columbia River basalts, nobody's really studied the dikes that were feeding those basalt flows until recently. And so we're going to do a little Google Earth tour here and take a look at some of those dikes. So if we zoom in here, so this is Oregon, Idaho, and then Washington up there.
I think it hasn't.
It didn't switch?
I think it hasn't switched yet. Did you share your screen?
I thought I did. Oh,
Google Earth.
Sorry. Here we go. Yeah. Okay.
We got this. We got this. Here we go.
Okay. Should I keep going from here?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a Google Earth image of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, and we're going to zoom into this mountain range called the Wallowas here. And the image I showed you first was from Hell's Canyon, right here, where those basalt flows are. So we're going to zoom in to this mountain range and take a look at what we see as, if we zoom way in. So right here, we can start to see some brown lines cutting across the view. And these lines are actually the basalt dikes, those fissures that fed magma from below up to the flows on the surface. And there's quite a few of these lines here, or dikes. And recently in a study, we were trying to examine these on a big scale. And you can notice over here some cross-cutting relationships, for instance. So you can use your geologic intuition to figure out which dikes are older than the other. And there's quite a few of them. There's actually over 4,000 dike segments throughout the Wallowa Mountains and the region nearby. And these dikes fed those basalt flows in a very short period of time. And there are so many dikes, they actually expanded the crust, so it got wider than it would have been otherwise by maybe about 1/3 to 1/2 of a mile wider. And another part of this story, just briefly, so these mountains were uplifted after the basalt flows erupted. And we can see this if we zoom over here and look at, these are the basalt flows, and they're actually warped. So there were flat basalt flows, and then the mountains uplifted and tilted those basalt flows. So on the margins of the mountain range, they actually are tilted down and away from the mountains. So there's dikes and tilted basalt flows, and also beautiful glacial geomorphology. I'll stop there.
That is amazing. And I'll turn my video back on. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's such a cool tour of a part of the world that a lot of people don't get to see. And a lot of people don't know about the Wallowas, but they're beautiful, beautiful mountains. So thank you so much, Matthew.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, you bet, Beth.